And it looks like we are officially live. Welcome to another episode of the Uncensored Entrepreneurs. Today, we're going to be exploring the profound impact of putting people first. We'll be diving deep into the art of genuine relationship building and how that leads to lasting success, both personally and professionally. So stay tuned, and we'll see you on the inside. And here we go. We're live. I tell you what, technology over these last couple months just continues to kind of creep up on us, and it's getting the best of me. I know that for a fact. But I don't know about you. When we went live this time, everything flashed up on my screen, right? It was like, approve this, approve that. It was just like wild. And so I'm sitting here looking at a blank screen, clicking boxes, right? Going, oh man, we're live.
You're so professional when you wouldn't have known at all, Robert. You're so professional.
There was a little pause, at the end of the day, I would have sang and I would have done a little dance if I had to.
I wish that would have happened, actually.
Yeah, right. But anyways, welcome again to another episode of the Uncensored Entrepreneurs. And, we're going to be talking about relationships before transactions. And it's so key in everything that we do in life, not just business. So I'm pretty excited to talk about this topic overall. Plus, as many people know, my newest book that I've been working on for a while that's coming up soon is called 7-Figure Relationships. And I'll be, just kind of extracting and pulling some talking points from that book. But before we get things really rolling here, right, we've had some dynamics. It's what happens as an entrepreneur. We travel, we're off doing this and that. We had to be flexible. We're constantly pivoting. We're missing one of our hosts today, Tina. So Tina, we miss you, and we'll see you on the next episode. And Christina, before we dive into this, let's just talk about what happened to you over these last couple weeks. It was pretty exciting to see things, that were kind of transpiring in your life and your business. And I'm sure that all of that stems to our topic today as well, right? Just building relationships and the way that those have opened up doors of opportunity for you. So if you don't mind, I'll give you the floor.
Wow. That's very kind. Thank you very much. It's really interesting. In life, you don't get what you want or what you wish for, or what you hope for. You get who you are. And I have always looked at business as relationship building and building your network. And the higher quality people that you build your network with, the higher quality of opportunity that you get. And I have always put myself, much like you guys, in higher level masterminds around, people that are so much better than me, people that are doing bigger things in this world, just to expand my belief and what I'm capable of. Because if we stay in this little, circle of what keeps us comfortable, we never go after the big stuff, right? I remember going into my previous mastermind, and like the first day I showed up, I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, I'm so underqualified to be here. Like, I don't know who let me in here, but I don't think I should be here. And over the year, I became somebody that they edified. And this is the advice that I would give anybody, is that when you go into a situation like that, it doesn't matter how much influence people have, how much money they make, but if you can learn to be an asset for people, learn to be a testimony, right? Work so hard that you become a testimony for people that have more influence than you, then there are a lot of great opportunities that happen. And so what I really, really love about what happened for me, and something that was very unexpected, is, we do all this work behind the scenes. and nobody really pays attention to that. You just see like the highlight reel on social media. And over the last couple of years, I've been really working hard to develop my own brand and my own coaching and really truly help people, right? Like build those relationships and help the people that truly want it. And I don't know if people know this, but you can go out and you can pay for publicity, right? Just like you can pay for proximity, you can pay for publicity. And so if you want to be on the cover of Forbes, you can pay somebody to do that. If you want to be, you can go pay for any of these articles to come out. But one of the unique things about the organization that allowed me this opportunity to be in Times Square is that you have to be nominated by one of their committee members, and you have to earn that right to be there. And so when I had tears when they called me and told me that I'd won this award. And then when they told me that it went out to all of these news outlets and they'd never seen so many people pick up a story because of what we've done in our lives. And this is what I want to share with people, is that you're sitting there thinking that what you do on a daily basis isn't really that special, isn't really that important. Like we made a very big decision to move from Canada to Mexico. We made a decision to go all in on our dreams and to build our businesses as opposed to working for other people. And that has garnered us a lot of international attention, even though you have no idea when you put out that reel that millions of people are going to see it. And so really my only piece of advice that I can give people is continue down the path of becoming who you're meant to be. It's all about the becoming and the story along the way. And these little pieces, like, helps people write books. It's all these little pieces of credibility that show up along the way. And eventually it pays off. And you get really cool opportunities like the one that I did being up on a billboard in Times Square. Never thought that would be me, my friends. Like I thought, I'd see my name in lights for music one day, but I never thought it would be business. And I'm very grateful for that organization and the connections that have been made there.
Awesome. Well, congratulations again. And it was exciting. I think it was just as exciting for Starr and I just to see your pictures and see you there at Times Square. I've been there many times, right? I've never had my picture splashed up in Times Square.
Say
never. If anything, well, let me think back. I actually had a picture taken of me that made it into a big article. And I think I was there with the naked cowboy or something, So nothing to nothing to
all publicity is good publicity, also, right?
To the level that you had yours. But anyways, that was awesome. And I love that you're actually, the fact of the matter is, as you just stated, and we talked about it right before we went live, right? That different stages of our life and our career, we thought things had to be absolutely perfect before we could take action, right? And we're finding that authenticity is where it's at. I mean, and that's what, building, and we're going to be talking about a lot about authenticity because it's one of the main factors of building relationships with people. And as you just stated, it's, whether they see an article in a book, Times Square, magazine, other things that you're doing, the content that you're putting out, even if you have 0 likes, and we'll talk about that because Starr, I know that in building your business, right, you have a lot of content out there and you've gone through a lot as well. But even if you have like 0 likes in the beginning of this journey, just know that there are people that are watching, right? There's people that are still watching. And all it takes, if you're authentic, it's going to be the right person at the right time that will actually see your content. And really, I always like to think of it as like pre-qualification. You're building these relationships sometimes for weeks, months, and even years before you've ever even had a conversation with an individual. So I do love that. We'll be talking about some success stories along the way. And so Starr, I mean, let's talk about like that, if you don't mind. I just think it's a perfect segue because you've gone from brick and mortar, you've transitioned over into a huge platform online, right? And in doing that, a lot of times, like each of us, I'm speaking for all of us that are content creators, sometimes you put your heart and soul into something and you're like, this is my best piece. This is the best article I've ever put out, best piece of content ever. And you get like 1 or 2 people that comment on it. And you're like,
that was not the best.
I thought that Tony Robbins was going to take a look at this, call me up and say, you just changed my life today, Rob. So anyways, what do you have to say about that?
Talk about relationship building as it relates to the brick and mortar business, but to what you're referring to, I came into the online space. I was still, running my brick and mortar. So this was kind of like a side thing for me, like, whatever happens. And, I quickly built a huge following and audience as well. And you're right. I mean, I do have a ton of content out there. I build relationships as well. And it's not just with like heavy hitters, it's with like people on all levels as well. And what happens is I get people who will refer me like, oh, Starr can do this, or she can do that, or invite Starr. And I'm like, how'd you hear about me? Oh, I went to this meeting or this training and they mentioned your name, but they didn't say who it was. And you're just like, what? And so
I
you
love
start getting a lot of invitations to be a part of a lot of big things as well, like participate in summits. And it's very important that you have those relationships with people. And it's not just about the money, right? It's not just about the publicity. It's like I actually put in the work to develop these relationships and friendships along the way, and providing value to people's audiences or just to their own business. And then in return, getting these invitations and getting more visibility. It's like, oh, Starr, I see you everywhere. It's like, well, it just didn't happen by chance.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly. And when it's authentic, like when you're building content now, again, many of us, we fall into this kind of rut where everything has to be the same. The way I talk, the way I speak, but when you're talking just from an authentic point of, hey, have you ever wanted to do this? As a woman, and I know I'm speaking in your content, as a woman, did you know that you can still XYZ? And it's okay to talk about money, and it's okay to be successful. Like, all of these things that you continue to put out there, there are people that are watching. And you're right. Many times I've had these conversations with people where I'm first like, okay, so, how did you hear about me? And to my surprise, there's so many people that said, it's kind of this trifecta, right? Well, I started watching some of your content with XYZ company 2 years ago, and I thought it was intriguing. And then, maybe a year later, I was talking to this person and I saw that you were friends and you were on their podcast. And then, because sometimes that decision in their life, it takes time, right? It has to be the right time for them. And so I always say continuously put out content, continuously be authentic and transparent in all things that you're doing. And those relationships, the right relationships will come, right?
Yeah.
And so,
I think, yeah, I wanted to address that too about putting out content, right? Because you can't just do it for the gram. Like, yes, there are influencers that are out there, okay? But like the Wall Street Journal just put out a statistic that really disturbed me last week. And it was 48% of influencers who use social media to market are making less than $15,000 a year.
48%. I saw that article.
Right?
I was like, well,
so it doesn't matter.
Right.
It doesn't matter you have 40,000 or 400,000 followers. It doesn't matter that 100,000 followers see your videos every single day. It doesn't matter. What matters is who you are behind the scenes. And I think that a lot of people would be surprised to know that all of us spend 90% of our time in our inbox, 90% of our time talking to people. Like, you might see this billboard picture in Times Square, but nobody in my hometown knows who I am. Like nobody remembers that piece of it, because you build the relationships that are important to you, that are in alignment with you, that are really, really quite valuable. And I think I made my first 6 figures online with 1,000 friends, and I didn't even have an Instagram account.
Yes.
There was no video, no nothing. And it's because I continued to build relationships because I cared about people. And back then I fought for the underdog. I was always fighting for the underdog. Not that I don't do that now, but I'm just very specific about how much I take from other people, because often there's a different dynamic in that state. But I'm telling you, like the relationships and how you care about people matter. How you operate, if you do what's best for them. And I did a post about it today too, because there's a lot of people out there that are trying to save their butts. They're trying to save their paychecks. They're like, don't do that, do this. My opportunity is the best out there. This is groundbreaking. This is disruptive. This is everything. Look, it's your job to be excited about your opportunity, about your business. It's your job to cast a vision for people. There's nobody telling you that you shouldn't do that. But it has to be authentic, coming from you, and you have to want what's best for others. It can't be the bottom line is always a sale. And by the way, there are really great salespeople out there, really great follow-up companies that are savage when it comes to the follow-up and how they get sales, right?
Yes.
But long term, if you don't want people to ghost you and you want to build long-term residual income as well as referral business, you have to always do what is best for another human. And that sometimes means you lose. Sometimes that means you lose the sale. Sometimes that means that you refer them to somebody else because you know that they would get a better result from somebody else to learn from, right? And so that can be really difficult. And that's something that your ego has to be checked at the door. And for for long-term big business, that's necessary.
Absolutely.
When you're building those relationships as well, oftentimes I'm surprised that people have come back later on to purchase from me when they didn't buy the first time, right? And it's because you built that relationship, you continue to nurture them. You didn't say, okay, you're not worth it because you didn't pay me. You still actually respect them and continue to nurture that relationship that you have.
That's the biggest turnoff, by the way, for any coaches out there listening right now that are still trying to build their career, right? Be absolutely genuine in the future of your client, your prospect, because how often have you had that happen, where someone's trying to pitch you something, you're back and forth in a conversation, and when you decide not to actually, pull the trigger on that transaction, they're gone, right? They ghost you. They have nothing to do with you anymore. When literally yesterday's message said, "Hey, I'm here for you no matter what, thick and thin. Let's make this happen." And then now you're gone.
Dead to
right?
me.
Yeah, I've had even high-profile coaches that I've actually paid a lot of money to in my career do the same exact thing. When you decided to no longer, support them financially, that they were no longer, interested in building a relationship. And so I do agree. One of the quotes, there's so many quotes, gosh, around this topic in itself, but one of the ones I wanted to put out there, because you both have actually touched base on this. It says, Dale Carnegie says, "You can make more friends in 2 months by becoming interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you." Right?
Mhm.
I love this. Like, I absolutely love this. It made it on my wall a while back, because I truly believe that, like, if you're absolutely interested, if you're intently interested in what people are doing and how you can actually help them solve a problem, right? Close the gap on something, then you will absolutely build more relationships in that conversation than you will constantly just pouring out there and telling everyone how great you are all the time. Too many people lead in with that. I think those days are slowly, like, leaving us. You can see this big shift, and it's why the gurus, and I'll use that just as a term, right? A loose term. It's why the gurus, the big people that we've looked up to for so long, they're like panicking. You're seeing them pivoting all over the place because they're like,
Yeah.
that doesn't work anymore, right? Like me telling you, go buy all my stuff because I'm the she, right? Those days are gone, and I think it's refreshing, quite honestly. It'll be interesting to see how things continue to change over the next couple of years.
And I also want to talk about customer service, because Robert, you had asked us about like a pivotal moment that may have happened to us in business that
Yes.
did like a massive impact. I know Christina shared an amazing story that happened to her. She was just in New York. And I wanted to talk about how like incremental relationship building can really grow the business. And that's how I was able to scale my beauty business to 7 figures. I actually connected with every customer that came in my store. Now, I did have a team, but I would go in, certain days of the week and be connecting with my customers. They got to know me on a first name basis. I got to know them on a first name basis. I had a very good product as well. And so just giving them like, I don't care what you're buying, how much you're spending with me. Somebody might come in and spend $1,000. Somebody else may come in and spend $80 on a piece of hair. I'm going to give them the same level of customer service that they deserve. And so that actually impacted the business and allowed people to continue to refer more and more people. So I did a very strong grassroots effort in building that business.
Awesome. Yeah, that's so true. So actually, just kind of to segue off of that, in order to do that, you had to build trust, right? And when you go from brick and mortar, because I came from brick and mortar as well. Actually, you did too, right, Christina? You were doing a lot of hands-on work as well. And
I had a salon.
Right, exactly. So each of us can actually relate to the fact that, it was much easier to build rapport then when the person's sitting right in front of you or across the desk from you or whatever it may be, right?
Oh, yeah.
Or they trust, you're building trust already, Christina, because their hair is in your hands, right? So you can impact their life in a lot of different ways. Starr as well, right? With products that people trust you with. But it was different back then. And so now that we've actually segued over the years into more of this digital commerce space and a coaching space, let's talk more about building trust. Like, what are some factors on how you can actually build, trust? People say, those will do business with you if they know, like, and trust you. So how do you build that factor when the person isn't physically there in your presence?
Yeah, in the salon space, it's funny because you learn a lot about people very quickly. That they tend to come in and tell you their secrets, and often I would remember people's their dog's name, their kid's name, their whatever. And so you become a fact collector. And I do that online too. Like, I don't just say, oh, this person's interested in my product or this person's interested in my course. I'm like, they're married, they have kids, their son plays hockey, they want to travel the world. Like, I start to ask questions, and I know you guys do this too. I start to ask questions to get to know them. And so when you start asking better questions, you start creating a tighter knit conversation and one that you can grow upon. And I think so often in building relationships, people do not see the long-term vision. They're just like, oh, they didn't buy after a couple of months, so they're not for me or whatever. But I've literally, because of learning these factors and because I continue, and by the way, it's way more work. It's way more freaking work. But that's why there's a small percentage of people that win, right? It's because you continue to comment on people's stuff. You continue to get to know them and support them in whatever they're doing. Wow, you just won that award. Wow, you're building a house. Wow, you're doing all these things, and you continue to support them regardless if that has anything to do with a sale. And I think that when we do those things consistently on a long-term basis, that's when we win. Like, I have people that now work with me that worked with me 7 years ago. I have people that worked with me that want to work with me now that worked with me 10 years ago, because I continued to, and it doesn't mean that I talk to them every day or talk to them once a month. It means that I talk to them probably 3 or 4 times a year, and I continue, hey, what's going on in your world? How are things going? Man, that's so great to speak with you. I'm so happy that you're doing well. Please let me know if there's anything I can do to support you.
Yeah,
it's that
absolutely.
simple.
But by the way, we hear your CEO in the background. Yeah, kind of throwing out some orders.
4 months old. That kid has like 2
right?
full-time employees, has a driver, has a house, and
But I love that, because we were just talking about that too, right? About being authentic. Like, I'm not just, a powerhouse in business and supporting other women and doing the same thing, or people in general, but I'm a mother, and I take care of this as a priority as well. And I balance these things. It's what we talk about here on the Uncensored Entrepreneurs. The fact that, what you see online, just understand that, to get where we've finally, been able to accomplish in life, these goals, there's been a struggle. It's been up and down. It's been quite a journey. And in that, we're still balancing relationships, our spouses, our children, and all these other factors that come along with that. But that only makes us stronger, right? Because we've all been, we've been in the game for a while. And as someone just said yesterday, actually, someone said, you know what? I've noticed over the years since we started doing business together that you become more wiser. And I was like, are you saying that because I have gray hair, or are you saying that? But I took that, and then I was like, finally, I was like, all right, that's a great compliment. Thank you. I mean, using the word wise, wisdom is totally different than knowledge, of course. And so, but these are things that we learn along the way. And one of the things that you brought up in that conversation was a quote that I know we've all heard. It's kind of been used a lot out there, but as a reminder to people, John Maxwell says, people don't know, or people don't care about how much you know until they know about how much you care. Right? Yeah. And I know that you'll mention that a few times as well. But that's absolutely true. Like, just be, with true intent. When you ask someone, how their children are doing, or, what kind of activities they're involved in, of course, you're building a relationship and you would like to do business with them if you're able to help them solve a problem. But be truly genuine about that relationship. And I have found, I think we talked about this in one of our earlier episodes, that one of my greatest referring clients has spent no more than $500 with me. This person's been around for a very long time.
Wow.
They no longer really need the services just based on their situation. But they continuously refer people to me. So I always tell everyone, they have maybe spent $500, but they probably referred $50,000 to me over the years. And that's about true, like, relationship building, right? So anyway.
And I think too, like, life timing, we have to honor people's life timing. I've said no to multiple things this year because I'm very particular about being a mom, and like, he needs me way more than he's going to need me in 5 years, or way more than he's going to need me in 10 years. And I think that when we honor people's life timing, and number one, we make them feel good about themselves and having conversations, like they enjoy having conversations with us. and they like us. That's number two. Like you know, you're not offensive. You're not putting down anything that they're doing. You're just always supportive, always positive, always busy, always moving forward with them all, you know, like their biggest cheerleader. And then you always give people an out, you know, like, hey, this might not be the right time for you. I really do honor life timing. And if it's not right now, maybe later down the line. You want them to feel good about these conversations. And when you learn how to have those conversations in a way that honors where they're at right now, instead of pushing people to a sale or pushing people to be ready, it changes the relationship completely, and they learn to trust you in a way that you will absolutely not have if you're somebody that is like, follow up, I'm working on the sale.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Robert mentioned that we all work the DMs here on Uncensored Entrepreneurs, right? A lot of people are afraid of the DMs. They're like, it's spammy, but we don't work it in that way. We actually are developing relationships in the DM. So when I'm talking to what some people may not like the word leads, but it could be our followers or someone who may be a potential buyer in the future, I'm not just there trying to get the current sale. I'm actually providing value around whatever the topic is that's happening. So maybe they've attended a training of yours. I'm still going to educate them and give them feedback on a question that they have. I'm not going to say, well, you haven't paid me, so I'm not going to give you this answer, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Sorry, gatekeeping today.
By the way, there are people out there that do that, right?
Yes.
They covet their information and the power of their relationship building as well. And I agree with you 100%, Starr. Like, there has to be a moment where, you know, let's talk business. I really would like to advise you. I'd really like to be your coach and help you through this problem. I feel that I'm very qualified based on this gap that you have. And I would like to solve this issue in your business so that you can reach XYZ goal. Like, that is a conversation to be had. However, if they say time is just not right, or I just don't have the money, I still want to leave them with some value, right? Like, okay, well, I understand that, and this isn't the perfect time. So what right now would help you take that next step in your business? What right now would help you get off the bench and get out there and get you motivated enough so that you can start seeing results in your business? And so many times, whatever that answer, you know, whatever the answer is, I give that away just because I care,
Always.
right? I want them to be, I want to see them successful. And quite frankly, how many times have you done someone a great service? This is just serving people. Which I have something I'll talk about in a moment regarding serving. But when you serve people with true intent, it's so interesting when that comes back around. Have you ever had a situation like that where a year or two later they come back as a client, and it's just because you did what was right, you know?
Yep.
But anyways, so I love that we're all talking about that. What else would you like to, let's talk about servitude just for a moment. And then I'll talk about my meeting last night. It was an amazing meeting. And I truly believe that is completely centered around, you know, serving others.
I think, well, serving with everything you have. I often do business audits. I do phone calls, half an hour consultations. I don't charge people hundreds of dollars like I could. But I give them what they need to hear right now. And if you're good at what you do, you will give your wisdom away for free, but not your time. And what I mean by that is that people will pay for accountability. Like, how do you guys pay? I pay for accountability, right? Like, I know all the things that I'm actually supposed to be doing, but I need to pay an absorbent amount of money so that I hold myself accountable with the people that are going to make me do it. And I think that higher level performers do the same thing. And same thing, like if you're running a challenge, or you're launching a book or whatever it is, it's that you can go and create all the content that's in the book and put it out on social media, but to have one-on-one coaching by you, Robert, on how to build 7-figure relationships, right? And how to build a brand that people recognize, you have to pay for that individual information. But I always think, do what's best for others. Like, give as much as you possibly can away for free, because again, that's how people trust you. And if you can do a workshop and have a transformation in 5 days that you give away for free, and they like change their business, like maybe they've never made any money and they make $1,000 because the information they learned, and it's so highly valuable to them, they're going to be like, I wonder if she could help me make $10,000. I wonder if she could help me make $100,000. Like, that was so valuable. And I just think that that's the smartest way to do business. And it's also karma, right? You give what you get. And when you give and you give and you give, that's what you get back in the universe from people all over the place. And I think that so often there are people that are, like you said, gatekeeping information because they're like, I want you to buy my course. I want you to buy this. And I want to have a conversation with you and I want you to win. If that's the bottom line, you'll win every time.
What I love about gatekeeping information is in most cases, when we see people doing that, the information that they're coveting is actually, it expires. It expires by the time that it's, by the time they think it's even relevant or valid anymore. And that's what happens in this world. It's ever changing. It continuously, it's fluid, right? And that's why I truly believe if you build relationships, that this stuff comes back to you. And I also believe that, if you put out negative energy, you receive it. Likewise, if you're putting out positive energy, it's just an amazing thing how it continuously comes back to you in some form. So I would like to just do a little plug. All right. It wasn't even my intent when we were getting on the show, relationships, about transactions. But most of you know that we spent some time with Ray and Jessica Higdon yesterday. It was awesome. Very impromptu, right? We had him on our show, last week, and he talked about his little journey, how he was traveling, up to North Carolina to do some things with his family and his daughter. And then they were going to be hitting a couple spots along the way. And so offline, we immediately started to have that conversation about Greenville. And he said, yeah, we're stopping in Greenville. We've heard a lot of good things about Greenville. And I truly believe it's because, when you stay around the campfire with people like, the Higdons and others, it's amazing how these relationships, continuously kind of compound. And I've always been praying about an opportunity coming out of COVID that we would have big events again in this area. And so, by keeping those relationships close, I think it just opens up more doors of opportunity to make things like that happen. Right. So Ray has a brand new book. We talked about it last week, and it's called The Faith-Driven Network Marketer, an amazing book. I'm almost all the way through it now. It's an easy read, and it's not just for network marketers, by the way. It's for anyone that's in, business, or even just those that just want to be inspired with some thought-provoking, content that includes, this faith-driven kind of mission in life, and it extracts things that are right in the Bible, but it helps us kind of understand that in a different method. So I love this book. Was able to hook up with Ray and them yesterday, and building some relationships with people that are right here in town that I haven't even seen in over a year, right? So already we're like, why are we not doing business together? Why are we not collaborating together? And so it really kind of opened up more, and I do believe that that's kind of a domino effect. But around our topic, relationships before transactions, one thing that really stuck out, and I wanted to read this. We've heard it a few times from Zig Ziglar, of course, right? One of the godfathers in this mission. But briefly, just in this book, it says, and this is Ray's words first, it says, I have come to believe one of the biggest reasons many people fail in network marketing, or let's just call it business in general, is because they lack a clearly stated mission revolving around the servanthood of others. And if your primary mission is to make money, you're in for more of a difficult time than if your mission is to be in service to others. Because what Zig Ziglar famously said is true. You can have everything in life you want if you just help enough other people get what they want. And I love that. And I think it's absolutely true. Now, obviously, it's not the intent, because that would be ungenuine to say, I'm just going to go out there and help people so that I can become wealthy and successful, right? But with true intention, as we're all stating, if you get out there and your mission is to truly see the impact that you can help others with and how they can accomplish the goals that they want to achieve in life, this magical little thing happens, right? And it comes back to you, and you continuously excel in your goals, in your goals as well. And so I love that, though. So a little plug, just wanted to throw it out there. And so let's talk about like that. I know that the show is going to be coming to a close here soon, but let's talk about that impact just with our clients and the people that we continuously serve. When we continuously help others, what has that done in the transformation of your own business?
Yeah, and I wanted to talk about that. Putting the focus on your current clients is very, very important, and making sure that you're creating the impact that you have, that you need to provide for the existing people that are currently paying you. I see a lot of coaches who are constantly marketing to bring in new clients, but the focus is not on the existing clients. So it's very important that we do all of the work to serve our existing people. And then what happens is they start referring people, which is what Robert has talked about. We get a lot of, all of us get referrals in our business from people that we've served because we actually care about them. We put in the work, we put in the effort to make sure that they actually achieve the results that they've come to us to achieve.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes I actually forget to put content out, to be in all honesty, let alone technology sometimes just, dampers that a little bit. But I always forget to put out more and more content as well because I'm so engrossed in the people that I'm serving.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's Christina, you said it earlier. It's what we do behind the scenes really that has the biggest impact in our business and in our lives and our relationships. So yeah, absolutely. Very good thought there, Starr.
I love that we're having this conversation. Sorry, go ahead, Starr. You can
No, I was
finish
gonna say,
that
what
thought.
about you, Christina? No, perfect. That's yeah.
It's funny because I was literally training on this morning an hour before I came in here because I was talking about following up and how we have these conversations and how following up is actually meant to build the relationship. But one of the things, and I'm going to get Danelle on here too, because Danelle has been a friend of mine and a mentor for the last 5 years, Danelle Delgado, and she's phenomenal. And what she taught me was something so valuable, and it was to have uncommon care. And so what that means is that you go above and beyond for people, for good people, for people that you love and who you cherish. And so, I wasn't able to make one of her retreats, and they all went to Cancun. There was about 200 people that went to Cancun, and I was just so bummed. Isaac was just a baby, and I just couldn't do it. And about a week later, my husband said we were going to meet clients, and I walk into the restaurant, his clients. We walk into the restaurant, and there's Danelle. And I was just like, I was so blown away that she came and came to meet the baby. And so I'll give you an example. We were just in New York over the last, it was going to be 12 days. We went for our friend's wedding, our friend Blaine. And we've been friends with this guy for 20 years. We just love him to death. He's like a brother. And the Oilers made game 7. Okay.
Yeah.
This is
obviously a big thing right now for the Oilers. Yeah.
Okay, this is a big deal. And they haven't won the cup in 35 years. There's no team that's come back from 3-0, and they were at 3-3 with the Panthers. And I was a huge hockey fan. I grew up in a small hockey town. Here. And so Blaine is just losing it, right? Like we get there and they win their first game, and then they win their second game, and then they win. So he's just like, oh my God, this is crazy, right? And so we had plans to fly home on Monday morning. And I looked at my husband, Ryan, and I said, look, Blaine's been a friend of ours for a very long time. He's worked for the Edmonton Oilers. He has an Oilers tattoo on his chest. This could very much be the day of his life, other than his wedding 2 days ago. Okay, this could be
might be even, right? Might be even,
right? Yeah. It could be, right? So I was just like, I look at him. I also know Blaine had a really strong hockey relationship with his father and used to watch hockey with his father. And his father passed away in the last couple of years. And I said, Ryan, I think we should stay. I think we should change our flights. We should stay for the last game, and we should be there with him for this, because for such a time as this, right? Show uncommon care. Now, we love him, and of course we do anything for him, but we should show that kind of care to people in our lives on a daily basis and go above and beyond for them, because people don't forget those things. They don't forget when you go out of your way to do something special, and most people don't do the effort, don't give that extra bit of effort. And so I always try and go the extra mile. I always try and do something to make people feel special, and not in a way that is, systematized and everybody gets this when they do this and everybody gets this, and actual, thoughtfulness in writing handwritten letters or handwritten cards or sending books or whatever it is, to make sure people understand that I really do care. I care about not only them, but I care about their growth. I care about who they become in the process. Sometimes I'm going to say things they don't want to hear, and sometimes I'm going to say things they want to hear. But in the end, they'll walk away knowing that I wanted what was best for them, and that even the hard conversations that needed to be had were had because I cared that much. You actually care more than most people.
That is so true. Christina, I know that you're quite a few miles away from me, but you must be reading my notes, because every single time we come up with a topic, I'm like, the next little thing I wanted to mention. I just put a quote out there that is perfectly in line. So with everything that you just stated. And Maya says, people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And that is just absolutely facts. And I know that because I've experienced this as well, right? There's so many times that I have gone somewhere and you gather all this information from great, thought-provoking leaders and people that are like very high up in their field. And that's inspiring, right? You're taking notes the entire time, but it's that one person. It could be someone that you've never even heard of before, maybe somebody that doesn't even have as much exposure. But if they come out and they say one particular thing that resonates with you and it leaves you in tears, you will remember that person for absolutely ever, right? And just those words alone seem to impact you more than the entire event. And so I experienced that last year at Faith Over Fear. Just the fact that there's amazing people and everything was wonderful. But when you see someone truly transformed by the power of caring and being able to serve and help others, wow, such an impact. So do you have...
We're like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I know we're going to put kind of a close to this. We all have some other engagements coming up. But, I mean, I really like this topic. We could talk about it forever. And it's why I've been writing a book for 2 years just on this topic alone. I truly believe that relationships, every relationship you build should be treated like an investment, something that you actually put somewhere and you take good care of that relationship. Because we've all had the opposite of that happen as well, right? When you quit talking to someone or you don't, as you said earlier, Starr, like following up with your existing clients, when you don't seem to be around for them any longer, they take that personally, whether they should or not. The fact of the matter is, they feel like, is this person continuous? Am I just a number? And are they going to continuously just build their organization and forget about me? And that isn't always the case, by the way. So for people listening, that is absolutely not the case when we're continuously moving and pivoting and working on answering, questions or helping others with their breakthrough experience. But it is important to continuously touch base with those people. And I believe if you do that intently, then it will come back to you. New business will continue to be referred to you, and it'll be through those relationships that you actually already have.
Well, and this is going to be probably an unpopular opinion, but I'm going to say it anyways.
That's all right.
When it comes to relationships, it's also okay to leave people behind that do not grow with you, because everybody has a chance to grow with you. Everybody has a chance to be a part of it. But you also, if you are somebody that is committed to growth and you are growing and you're growing and you're growing, and, like you said, you might have clients that don't come alongside with you, and maybe they're not in alignment, or maybe they're not willing to do the growth necessary to continue to work alongside you as you grow. That is okay too. I want to say that because I think so many people get caught up in like, I can't do this because of my team. I can't do this because of a client. I can't, reach for the stars and do this. What are people going to think of me? I think that we often hinder ourselves because of judgment. But sometimes we have to leave people behind. We have to let them do the work. And I remember learning this lesson in network marketing from a very good friend of mine, Afia. And she said, Christina, instead of doing it for them, you have to let them struggle. And they might not like you in the struggle. They might be pissed off that you're not going to help them in the way that they feel like you should help them or you need to help them. But that's where the struggle is where they're born, where their strength is born. And so it's okay to leave people behind. But the key is always leaving the door open. And I will tell you, there was a relationship that I had with a really good friend of mine many years before I met Ryan, and something very silly had us go in different directions. And we just had a falling out that was so silly. And it broke my heart for a couple of years that we just didn't speak. And I had Isaac back in February, and a couple of days later got a message from her. And she's just like, I'm so proud of you for who you've become. I'm so proud of you for the life that you've built. And I went back and I looked at all her stuff and I'm like, I'm so proud of you. Like, look at what you're doing. You're amazing. You've done all this work. And we just had this great conversation. And it's like, if you always leave the door open for this reconnection, it's okay, but don't give up who you are because you're scared to be too much for others. Because I've definitely had those moments that it got to the place that I'm like, how can I help you? I don't need help. I'm fine. I don't feel like doing this. Okay, well then I can't help you. I'm going to stop giving you advice if you're not going to take it. I'm going to stop going out of my way to continue to raise the bar here because I can't want it more than you want it for yourself. And I think that conversation also needs to be had, because you can't hinder, you actually are enabling them if you continue to work at their level as opposed to reaching farther for yours, because people rise to the occasion instead of fall.
Right. Quite honestly, it becomes kind of an anchor in some ways, and you're not
Yeah.
just prohibiting their growth, but the others as well that you're serving, right? And self, quite honestly. I would like to think of it as changing kind of that statement just a little bit. I'm doing this because I use the same word as you, right? Leaving them behind.
Yes.
And kind of the shift would be more like it's just time for us to go down two different paths, right?
Mhm.
Because
I like
we're
that
not
better.
leaving them behind. They're just their journey requires something a little bit different, and maybe it requires, as you just stated, some self-reflection. And if they take this path, the path of most resistance, let's call it, and they do it on their own, sometimes there is growth in that. And as you stated, they'll come back around, or later on you reconnect and you're like, wow, that's amazing that you were able to do that. It may have been a major struggle to get where they wanted to go, but on their own or through certain things. But I do believe that timing is everything in life, and so it's necessary at times to go down two different paths. I'm going to continuously remind myself of that as well.
Dude,
So
I know, and I like that you corrected me on that. I actually really appreciate that, because it doesn't feel good at
right
all.
when you say leave someone behind, right? It's like they're
you don't
treading
know,
water
and
and you're drowning.
I don't like that at all. So I really appreciate that perspective, and now I'll clarify.
No, it's
This is all
something I
about
was even
growth,
thinking
right?
about. Yeah.
No, I appreciate it.
What about you, Starr? Any other closing remarks? And I think we'll close out today's topic. But
I love that you brought that up, Christina, because oftentimes it can affect us when they actually aren't putting in the work or taking our advice. It brings us down. So it's very important for us to protect ourselves, protect our energy, and kind of move forward. So I love that, because I've been in that position where it's like, I'm doing everything to help this person or these people, and then I start to feel like less than, because
absolutely right.
they're not getting results or they're not doing the thing. So I found that I definitely have to get out of that space and give them their space. Like Robert said, maybe it's just not their time. They can go down a different path. And I think sometimes it is just the timing.
Yeah. What's that perfect analogy, Christina? And it's exactly what you were describing. When you're on an airplane and they say that in case of whatever, in your mask drops, always put yours on first before you. And we forget to do that so often. So often I'm helping other people really, achieve what they need to achieve in their business, which is what we're here for. But when there's roadblocks, or as you just stated, they're not putting in the effort or the work, I forget about what I'm supposed to be doing and how I'm also supposed to be serving, 30 or 40 other individuals at the same exact time. And so I think that's a good lesson. I mean, just having this conversation to close out with, I think it's good for all of us and anyone listening, that self-care is important. And for those that are not willing to continuously run with you, maybe their path just looks a little different, and it's okay to go your own separate ways for a moment, or just, kind of leave them there in some reflection. And there's ways to support them in that as well, right? And that's what we continuously do. Put out great content, continue to inspire people through your actions, and other people will continuously, make those moves along the way as well. So I appreciate each and every one of you. I think today was awesome. And Tina, hopefully things are going well with you. And we'll next week, let's talk real quick. Next week is a holiday week for us. And so we'll probably do just a profound, of course, impactful replay, but it won't be live like today's show. But I do want to say that for those in the United States, happy 4th of July. And I have family coming in town. And I didn't even mention the fact that I have family coming in town, not just for the holiday, but we're going to be doing kind of our long-awaited memorial for my late father that passed away. And so we wanted to do it at a time when everyone could actually, travel and spend some time with us on a long holiday weekend. And so it'll be really great rekindling those relationships as well, because there'll be family that I have not seen or talked to in quite a few years. So
we'll be thinking of you.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Again, follow, like, and share us Facebook and all across other social media on the Uncensored Entrepreneurs. And you'll actually see that uncensoredentrepreneurs.com, our website is out there. We're going to start having these episodes, and our podcasts are now live with Spotify, and you can find us on Apple. So we appreciate each and every one of you, and let's continuously do the good work in serving others.